Hey guys, welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. I'm Matt. Today we got a great 10 at 10 for you.
Hey guys, I'm Tim. Smash that like button if you like Japanese maples. If you like our 10 at 10s, we'd really appreciate it. Share this video with your garden and friends. And as always, remember at 10 a.m., these plants go live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on MrMaple.com. You'll want to check out pretty quickly because some of these trees will sell out fast. And we're actually listing 20. So sign up for our weekly email so you can get a heads up of the full listing of 20.
Guys, we're doing this video early, but this is the 10 at 10 for March 21st of 2023. So if you're watching this video a year later, sizes may be slightly larger or slightly smaller, but this is typical of what we have here in spring of 2023. I think we've got a great lineup for you. We've even got a 3-gallon, and we're bringing back a lot of conifers right now. I know you guys are looking for conifers. We're going to be listing a ton of exciting conifers.
But guys, we've got an open house coming up soon too, so we're just going to go ahead and throw that out there, a shout out for that right now. March 24th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's Friday, March 24th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, March 25th from 8 a.m. to noon. We have a hard cutoff both of those days. Don't wait for these plants because many of these trees will sell out, but make sure you come visit and shop in person at our open house on those dates. We'd love to have you.
It's going to be a fun time. We're going to be, in some spring color here for sure by then. And I think if we get some good weather, it's going to be one of the most fun times you could possibly visit Mr. Maple. We've never been open this early. It's a full 2 months earlier than our normal open house. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're trialing this out. We'll see how it goes. If this is popular, we may look for more open houses, maybe even monthly. We'll look forward to trying to do more, but let us know if this is something you're interested in, and we look forward to seeing you. Guys, really appreciate everybody in that live chat. If you're watching this one later, the live chat is a madhouse. We've been regularly hitting 100 each week or more in our live chat. And those guys are awesome. They really drive the content. There's a conversation going on there, and it's super exciting. You're definitely going to want to come to some of our premieres and be part of that live chat.
The thing I never realized is how many international people would come in just to hear us talk about the cool plants where we've got each week. And so it's so cool that even people that can't even shop with us love coming in and getting involved and learning about these plants. And it's a cool way to bite off talking about 10 different plants that are really unique and really different. So we really appreciate everybody in that international who can't even buy from us, who are coming in and getting involved in the live chat and who watch our videos. Whenever it comes to all these plants we're looking at, we actually have to film these a couple weeks ahead of time. And so many of these plants will be filled out and be even fuller and larger than our video right now whenever you receive them. And that's simply because we have to film these a few weeks ahead so we can have everything done at the nursery we need to when spring really hits.
Let's get it going. We've got a 3-gallon here on the table for you. Acer palmatum Ryerson coming back in 3 gallons this time. Some great sizes. We only put one here on the table because they're too big for multiples, but an awesome 3-gallon size. These are trimmed back. They're ready to really just burst onto the scene this spring.
Yeah, the Ryerson styles, they get as big as you stake it. They cascade. They have that heavily cascading style to them. Good fall color, extremely heat tolerant. It's part of our heat tolerant Japanese maple series. If you're in a heat area, go check out our video on that. We've got a series of videos where you can learn about different plants that would do really well in high heat situations. And this is one that really does. It's very vigorous and it's just a beautiful tree. I think it's a good tree that a lot of people can grow. This is one that can handle more sun than most Japanese maples.
Right.
And it's a plant that is just a fast, vigorous grower.
Guys, these are already staked up to well over 3 feet. Good sizes on these 3 gallons. So if you're looking for a more established Ryerson to start out with, you can just keep staking a central leader and get this one as big as you want. Awesome sizes though, very well developed 3 gallons. And grab these up. They won't be around after open house. I guarantee you that.
When I see this, I just think about going and visiting Kobayashi Momiji Inn and going and getting to see like what they say is the original Ryerson. And it's where they've taken an old Japanese maple and they've grafted a bunch of Ryersons in the top of it. And it is right there at the center of their nursery as soon as you walk in, and it is beautiful and spectacular. And I mean, just getting to see that plant and meet the nursery that introduced Tamukiyama and so many other Japanese maples. I mean, 28 generations of nursery. This is one of their newest introductions and one of their most popular right now.
For sure, for sure.
So next up, we've got Acer palmatum Amato.
Guys, Amato can easily rival Osakazuki for fall color. I was at Carl Munn's nursery one time. We used a lot of pictures from that trip, and we walked through a field of Amato in just perfect fall color. I love how bright this one gets.
What's Amato with you?
My corny brother.
Amato puts on some amazing fall colors. I mean, the fall colors are just electric with bright fire engine red. I mean, it's just one of the best fall color Japanese maples.
Yeah, this is a green during the spring and summer, kind of a light green to mint, and really fades to more of a Kelly green midsummer. But fall really is where this one steals the show.
I remember reading some articles in Tsukiya Living magazine about Japanese gardening, and they talked about how green Japanese maples really give a bright summery feel during the summer. And then that fall color in the fall really just adds so much more. And that's exactly what this does. It's a classic Japanese maple that's going to give you some amazing fall color and some green color during the spring and the summer.
We said like 8 times when we filmed not to make the Amato joke, but you just couldn't do it.
I had to, bro. I had to.
All right, let's see what's next. All right, guys, back by popular demand. This one may be one of our most popular trees in 2023. We've got Acer palmatum First Ghost.
So First Ghost is Talon Buchholz's logo. It was the first of the Ghost series. It's got that purple border when it leaves out in the spring. This plant is amazing. I mean, this is the original Ghost. I mean, this is the plant that started it all. And it's one of the things that have made, it's one of the trees that have made reticulated Japanese maples popular in the United States.
We're planning on keeping this one in stock pretty much all year for good reason. I mean, we're really bumping our numbers up on this. It's super popular. One of the things I love about First Ghost is that purple border around it in the spring. So not only do you get that green reticulation, these will start to form a dark purple border, especially with a little morning light, and just a really showy plant. Golden yellows to oranges in the fall, and nice mid-sized tree. Makes the perfect pairing if you're going to grow something like Purple Ghost. I mean, First Ghost is going to look amazing next to that.
The other thing I like about First Ghost is it has a unique shape. I mean, it's not just a perfectly upright tree. It has arching branches to it. And that gives this tree more of a like shrub upright tree shape as it's going. You can stake this up and let it have some of that semi-cascading habit a little bit higher up. But this plant is always one of my favorites when you go out and look at all the etching and the intricacies in the leaf each and every spring. I mean, this plant's a rock star.
Wham!
Whammy. Pinus coriensis G. Broom.
Gary G is a good friend of ours. He was actually at my wedding. Shout out to Gary G of G Farms. We probably need to get him on the podcast, talk about some broom hunting. Probably my favorite broom by Gary G is G Broom. Awesome plant. You know, our employees just go crazy for this one too in person. We had these in the Welsh pot, so you can see what that looks like. It's a little bit smaller bucket than the 1 gallon, but you're not getting any smaller plant there. It's a great size plant.
Yeah, and G Broom, Gary's a good friend of ours. I mean, Matt and I once made a trip to Gary G's, and it was below zero. We were out there with running around Gary G's arboretum, and Matt was in the car riding bags while I was collecting signwood, jogging along with the truck as it was driving in 4-wheel drive through, you know, a foot plus of snow.
Yeah, upper Michigan, man. He said it's good weather. He said, you should come this week. It's got great weather. Well, good weather was like around zero with about 8 or 9 inches of snow. And he wasn't joking because the next week was like -20 with like 20 plus inches of snow. So it was the good weather. And cool guy, really fun guy. He likes to go out, you know, into the Great Lakes area and go brooming. And he's a fun broom hunter. So we'll have to get him on the podcast for that.
For conifers, I love him. I mean, if I have any conifer question, he's a great plantsman all around. But if I've got a conifer question, Gary's the guy I'm calling. And G Broom is, I think, one of his best introductions.
It's one that really gets a response from people. Everybody sees this one, and it kind of just, you get an emotional response to that one. It's so tight. It reminds us of sea urchin a little bit in its density, but it's got its own uniqueness going on there. Longer needles and a little bit more yellowing in it. It is a really cool plant. You can get some blue-green colors on this that really put on a show.
So next, this is a pretty cool one.
We've got Acer palmatum Dragon Master. So these will even be you know, more filled out. We're just starting to leaf out now. Dragon Master is one of our most popular trees we've ever named here at Mr. Maple. This is the orange when it first leaves out, but yellow Ryerson form. And guys, you know, for my opinion, it's the best yellow Ryerson on the market.
And this thing really gives you some color. If you can take this tree, push it out to the sunlight a little bit, you can really peak the yellows up as best you can. You don't want to put this in full sun in the very hot part of the south. It will show a little burn in that, but this plant is spectacular. I mean, I love the colors this thing provides out in the landscape. And it gives you a lot of the shape that you love about Ryerson.
Right.
But it gives you some different colors with that.
Just like Ryerson, this one gets about as big as you stake it. Think of it in that same pendulous nature. Now, you've heard us talk about this one a lot on our channel. I compare it more to Orange Dream for color. You can see even on some of these just starting to leaf, I mean, it almost looks like moonrise right now for some of that apricot. You get some amazing shades over top of this. Orangey, apricot, pink, yellow, fading to more of a bright yellow. This one's gonna have a larger, rounder leaf than Golden Falls. Really a fun plant. It's my favorite of the weeping yellows, or any of the weeping variants, if you want to know the truth. It's part of our Pendulous Treasures collection here at Mr. Maple, and those are some of our favorite Ryusei style maples.
Now, one thing I love about these plants is these are low grafts, so you've got a lot of options. First, you can stake it. If you want to stake it up and let it cascade down, you can have a similar effect like you're having with this Ryerson, where it's going to cascade and have that very cascading fountain-like appearance. But a cool thing that we've seen done before is letting this tree just grow naturally on the ground and be like a ground cover. And this is just going to crawl around, and you can have a Japanese maple as a ground cover, and then you get a Japanese maple as a ground cover that gives you so much color. So that's such a fun thing to do with this. And the other thing you can do with this is grow this in a hanging basket. Being this is a low graft, this is an ideal plant to put in those hanging baskets. We recently shot a video at Brian Rule's house on Japanese maples in hanging baskets, and Dragon Master makes a perfect one for that.
Well, hang on now. There's another way, and that's growing it in a big container on the ground. It doesn't have to be hanging in the air. We're going to be doing a video soon where I plant some of these in my wife's containers. I got them for her last year for Mother's Day, so she's been on me to get those planted. So we're sticking her a Mystic, a Kryptonite, and a Dragon Master in those planters. Great container plant. You can stake it up in the container. I've got a blue pot. I'm going to let some of that yellow foliage weep down around that blue pot. I think it's going to make a great pairing.
What about the colors on this? Woo-wee!
So next up, we've got Baby Blue Ice.
Now, there are no blue Japanese maples, but there are blue conifers, and they pair so well with many of the Japanese maples. I mean, you pair this with a Dragon Master, you pair this with a First Ghost, you pair this with a G Broom too. I mean, this thing's going to give you a lot of blue color out there in the landscape.
I've got boys and girls now in my family, so I joked you could send this one out as like a, you know, like you cut in the cake, and then it's either blue or pink in there. You can send them a Baby Blue Ice, maybe like a pink filigree or something. You know, you can have your gender reveal party with some horticultural plants. I love Baby Blue Ice for that color. It is a frosted light blue. There really isn't much else that hits this shade. It's one of the brightest. I mean, it's almost like a Carolina blue. It's like a bright blue color, and it's like a sky blue.
I think it's because it gets silver to the backside of the leaves, the backside of the needles. And when you see that on the foliage, it really just brings out the blue color even more that's on the top of the foliage. And it just gives this plant such a crisp look, but it has a nice conical habit. It doesn't get very large. We're talking, this is a plant that may be 4 feet in 10 years, a very pyramidal shape. And this is just such an awesome plant to use out in the landscape and garden.
Another great one if you want to decorate at Christmas. This can have that small Christmas tree shape. You know, put this out next to your Mulsaryi, your green penguin. I mean, I know it's a Chamaecyparis passifera, so it's not a pine, but it's going to look amazing in your winter landscape and your summer landscape.
I mean, you could bonsai this pretty easy.
Right.
You could wire some of these branches, but this will also do great in a fairy garden.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
It
brings a color that not much else brings, so you really can get like an otherworldly quality with this one.
Railroad gardens.
Right.
I mean, this thing just does so much. Containers, this is an excellent container plant. I mean, as a container plant, this thing's gonna give you a lot of blue color, and you can move it around the yard to really compare and contrast with everything out there.
All right, next up, we got a big leaf japonicum. I hear Flintlock Hunter just, you know, he's celebrating. He's sad every week we don't have an Acer japonicum, but I always try to let him know there's only like 25 Acer japonicums, and we put these out 52 weeks out of the year. So you're going to miss some Acer japonicum some weeks just by nature. Next up, we have Acer japonicum, Woods number 2.
Yeah, Woods number 2 is sometimes referred to as Ed Woods. Ed Wood had 2 different Acer japonicums, and Ed's Wood number 1 was actually Algiton.
Yeah.
And then Woods number 2 is often referred to as Ed Woods. But this one has such a big leaf foliage to it. The japonicums give you such a tropical feel out in the landscape,
right,
and some really good fall color.
Oh, I love this one. Big leaves, give it some late day shade. It's going to even larger foliage. Amazing oranges and reds on this one in the fall. I've even had some yellows in it, but typical more oranges and reds on that big leaf. The more late day shade you're giving it, the larger the leaf is going to be, making it look even more tropical, more crazy. Contrasts so well with everything in our landscape because they're just very unique.
Now, it's just so amazing that the little buds can then push out these leaves
They get gigantic.
that get gigantic.
Right.
I mean, that's just amazing how nature and God works in creating that.
How's
I
it
mean,
holding all that in there?
Yeah, I
It's
know,
like
exactly.
All this comes out of this little bitty bud, and then you're getting like this, you know, like 6-7 inch leaf.
And then you get fall color on top of that. I mean, this tree's just going to rock it out in the landscape and garden. Japonicums, they typically want some protection from the hot afternoon sun in the deep south, but this is a plant that if you give it some shade, some afternoon shade, you can get those huge, huge, huge leaves. The biggest leaves of almost any of the Japanese maples.
Now, Talon Buchholz, he learned a lot from Ed Wood. He was somebody that Talon, you know, kind of mentored under a little bit. He has a lot of fun stories of them, some which are safe for TV, some which aren't, but really funny stories about going and meeting Ed and just all of his interactions. One of the stories I think is most interesting is that he would often auction off his best seedlings to nurserymen.
At spaghetti dinners.
Right, yeah, he'd have a big spaghetti cook-off, and then he would be like, hey, we've got this one tree, it's really cool, who wants to name it and grow it? And then you could bid on being the first nursery with that plant.
I think
cool
I think that's an awesome idea. I know
It's like a party I'd want to go to.
I know Benny Otaki and many of the amazing plants came to us from these spaghetti-like dinners.
Right.
So cool.
All right, guys, back in stock, just in time for spring color, Acer palmatum Amagi Shiguri. Now this one's gonna pair awesome with that first ghost, but really it's gonna pair awesome with everything. Put this in a big planter next to your Dragon Master. The colors are gonna be insane. I love this one for its violet-like color with a reticulated veining.
Again, blue Japanese maples aren't real, but some of the purple ones can really give you some amazing colors you don't get out of anything. And this is definitely one of them. I mean, this is one of those plants that's a rock star out in the garden and can give you some lilac purples, that light lavender colors to deep fuchsia. And the spring reticulation on this selection is amazing.
Yeah, it's a showstopper. I love it. You know, it's almost like a dwarf Ghost Series style plant. Now, Amagi Shiguri originated in Japan, so it's not part of the Ghost Series, but think of this one as a 6 to 8 foot miniature, bright violet purple. So if you compare this next to Purple Ghost side to side, the colors are very different. I mean, it's really funky. You know, Brian likes to say, and Brian's behind the camera, but Brian likes to say, if you put this one in shade, you can even get some even crazier colors, and heavy shade does get more white to golden undertones underneath that purple. You can get a lot going on playing around with this one. It's the perfect tree for a planter. If you want a reticulated ghost type maple in a big pot, think about Amagi Shiguri. One, you can play around with the colors, but two, I mean, it is so colorful, it's gonna bring max color to a small area.
I know Talon sent us some paperwork from Japan on this plant. And this is a plant that is very unique and very different. Originally, this plant, I believe, made its way from Japan to Europe, and then from Europe to the United States. And Talon was also, might have been getting it from Japan at the time, I don't know. I mean, it's not the purple ghost color, even though it's a purple, and it's a much smaller, dwarfer form of them purple ghosts. And so for being a smaller Japanese maple that can grow in containers, I mean, this one just adds a lot of amazing color.
He wanted the low graft. So we've got two options in this. We're bringing back Tom Thumb. Guys, we've got them in the high graft. You can see the difference here, and the low graft.
Okay, guys, we got yellow. We got a yellow conifer here. We got a plant that is a tight, dense dwarf witch's broom that was found on Skylands by Tom Thumb Nursery. And this plant, Tom Thumb aptly describes a little dwarf.
Everybody loves this one. The color, the name, everything about it's nice. We like doing some on standards like this, so you've got that higher, you know, standard look. This is going to continue to make more of that standard ball shape on top of the standard. But then we also do some low grafts like this one, so you can capture all that beauty down low.
Now, one of the things that I thought was really cool with these low grafts is recently, one of our employees, Corbin, who does a lot of our editing on our videos, he turned one of these into a bonsai.
Yeah.
And these low grafts are excellent for that. They're low to the ground. They've got a fairly clean graft on them. You can cut them up. They heal very quickly and look very nice as a bonsai. But that in a bonsai pot was spectacular.
Right.
And I was just enthralled by what he did with it. Obviously, this is a great container plant as well.
Yeah.
Great for those small conifer beds. But it gives you that yellow color that's excellent if you're just putting a conifer bed out, pairing something with something like a baby blue ice.
Right.
I mean, it's a rock star.
Guys, these are our two comparisons. These are our high graft 1 gallons, And these are our low graft Welsh pots. So you'll know the two different sizes there. Again, these are grafted a little bit higher up. You know, I would say well over 1.5 feet up to kind of give them that standard look. Awesome plant to be growing. Great sizes on these already. And a showstopper of a plant. These are a conifer that does tend to sell out for us.
So,
right, but last but certainly not least, we've got a Makawa type on the table for you. There's a lot of Makawa types coming to Mr. Maple. They're highly sought after. Don't sleep on them. Today we're bringing Makawa Yatsubusa seedlings.
Yeah, Makawa Yatsubusa is one of the most popular Japanese maples when it comes to bonsai. And these are seedlings, so they don't have the graft mark. So they're excellent for bonsai, but you don't have to use them for bonsai.
Yeah.
There's plenty of these that are very unique and very different. One thing I thought was interesting about this one is the foliage appears to be a little smaller than Makawa Yatsubusa.
Right. This one's got a really nice kind of bronzing going on with it. And there's a lot of variation to these because they are from seed. There's different shades of green and orange and red and really colorful. We'll be doing probably a whole set of just some of the reddish ones. So we did pick some of the brightest red ones out. Really fun ones though. You'll get a lot of variation from yellows to oranges to green on these to bronzing like this, and just really showy.
Now, unfortunately, we can't take time to go through and look for specific traits. If you put those in the notes, unfortunately, we can't.
Seedlings are a grab bag.
Seedlings are a grab bag when it comes to the seedlings, but these plants are amazing. They're going to be an amazing plant you can put out in the landscape and garden. Really enjoy some different colors that you don't get with Makawa Yatsubusa. Maybe some different leaf shapes. Maybe a different fall color. I mean, they're a seedling Japanese maple, so we don't really know what you have until you grow it out there and then evaluate it and see what it does.
One thing we can guarantee on all these Makawa seedlings are that we've selected ones that have that Makawa Yatsubusa density. So they have that density of trait. Some of these may even be cultivar worthy. There's some good ones in this set. We try to pick all our favorites, but I've seen people post pictures of these we've listed in the past, and I'm like, man, I shouldn't let that one get away. I saw a few that had just some insane traits going on. So they're fun to watch, they're fun to evaluate, and definitely one of the most popular uses for this is for bonsai. They're a low Makawa Yatsubusa, a dwarf type without a graft union, so you don't have any graft union going on, making this, I think, the perfect tree for a beginner for bonsai or for an expert.
And one good thing about this plant, like Matt talked about, is you don't have to be an expert to bonsai with this.
Right.
I mean, this is a plant that
just put it in a container. It looks like a bonsai already. Put it in a big pot.
And check out our video on amateur bonsai. You can learn a little bit about that, about the bonsai process.
Ryan Corbin killed it in that video. We're going to have to get them to do more bonsai content.
I think they've been doing classes on bonsai, and it'll be interesting to continue to have them do some videos on their progression on what they're learning with bonsai as they learn more and more.
Definitely check out that video. It's a great video on how to do bonsai, and from anybody's standpoint. Like, I think what they're doing is so interesting because it's approachable. It's not, it's not something you can't obtain. It's really interesting stuff. And I think seedling Makawas are a great way to get started in that.
And the other cool thing about these things is they're so unique and so different. Every seedling has some slight variation to it. And so if you got 10, likely you could find different traits all throughout those.
Guys, let us know not only what your favorite tree on the table is today, let us know where you're watching from in that comment section below. We'd love to see where you're watching from. Again, we can't ship internationally, but we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We got a ton of committed, loyal followers overseas that watch these every week. And guys, we really appreciate you.
Which plants do you think are going to sell out first on today's 10 at 10, Matt?
Well, I cheat because I know which ones we have higher numbers in. Maybe, what's going to sell the most is Dragon Master. Dragon Master is going to be the most popular tree on the 10 at 10, followed by Makawa seedlings. Don't sleep on these. It's a great 10 at 10. We're only bringing more and more stuff. And if you see something here that you're interested in, you can always contact Jody if you don't want that shipped, if you want to pick it up at the open house.
Now, if you just moved to a new house and you've got a fresh landscape, a lot of our plants that are on our 10 at 10 are a great starter package for a lot of gardens.
Right.
I mean, if you look right here, we've got conifers mixed in with yellows, blues, we've got weeping types, we've got uprights, we've got variegated types, we've even got Makawa types.
So we try to curate these. A lot of people see these 10 at 10s. We do try to pick plants that complement each other each week. We try to fill each category each week. We actually have 2 Ryerson styles this week, but one with insane color patterns. We try to pick things that are different and unique each week and that complement each other.
And as always, if you don't know about us, we're MrMaple.com, mail order business shipped directly to your door. These plants going live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you get on at 10 a.m., check out very, very quickly. And as always, we've got a huge assortment of videos here on the Mr. Maple Show. go check out some of our videos. Many of these different cultivars may have cultivar highlights that we've done in the past, so you can go watch a full video on these plants. And we also do a podcast, so you can go find us on your favorite podcast platform. It's a weekly podcast right now, and you can go subscribe to us on any podcast platform. We're out there everywhere. I mean,
everywhere. All Amazon platforms and on YouTube.
Amazon Music, Pandora.
Right.
I mean, everything you can imagine. We're out there when it comes to
some great interviews and individual how-to content.
Exactly. And if you're wanting to learn more about Japanese maples, make sure you're subscribed on our podcast, The Mr. Maple Show, and on YouTube, because we try to put out a lot of videos to help you learn about Japanese maples, how to grow them, how to prune them, how to fertilize them, how to water them. So I hope that you can learn a lot here on the Mr. Maple Show. We'd really appreciate your subscription.
Guys, if we've earned it, definitely like and subscribe, especially if you're new. If you're some of our loyal customers who are here all the time watching these channels, definitely share and hit like. That goes a long way into letting more people see these. We hope we've earned your subscription today. We put out a lot of free maple content, so all of our content is free of charge. We basically publish a book on Japanese maples every single week here on the Mr. Maple Show, and I hope that's something you'll want to be a part of. Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.